What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on?
What's good, people?
What's good, everybody? Welcome to another Sunday night Strictly Fpv QuadCast. We have a special guest tonight. We have Kevin Daughtry from StingerSwarm. He'll be popping in just a bit. So, what's up, guys? Everybody in the chat, hello.
What's going on?
Hello,
Not
people.
much, dude. Not much, dude. Busy day today, man. Busy day.
Yeah. Heard you were moving.
Yep. Moving a lot of stuff today. Helping my brother-in-law's family, his mother, because his mother is moving to another place. So
Okay.
he called me in on Saturday to see if I wanted to come and help because I guess his brother-in-law blew out his knee. So I said, yeah, I'll come. Gotta help family, right?
Yep.
You do indeed.
Yep.
Unfortunately, sometimes.
Yep. So what's up new with you guys, man? Any flying? You guys do any flying this week?
Yeah, a little bit this weekend. I did a family trip, did some camping in Colorado Springs, and did a little flying around the campsite.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, Lee always does the good shit.
Yes, he does.
I don't do crap. I don't ever leave my house.
Lee, you son of a bitch, you.
I don't.
Well, there's a spot in Colorado Springs called the Cave of the Winds, and it's like a cave tour, and they have this swing that goes out over a canyon and it drops you, and you swing all the way across the canyon and back on a cable. And my daughter wanted to do that, so we just went up and camped nearby the area and just kind of made a family trip out of it.
Cool.
Cheaper than Disneyland.
Yeah, man, it's been hot out here, man.
It's been
the
hot
past
here
2
too,
days.
yeah.
Dude, and Lee, I have to say something. I've been trying to figure out why my Action 2 on my last video, my Action 2 was really jello-y, right? So
I noticed that.
Yeah,
I say something to you, but I thought you already knew. I figured.
Yeah, we already know it overheats, right? Right? The Action 2 overheats. Now I never had this problem because when you're flying FPV, wind is casting through the unit, it's going through the unit, it's keeping it cool. But those days are cool. That day I was flying was extremely hot. You could feel the air was hot and everything. So I'm thinking maybe because of the hot weather and the air blowing was so hot, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Were you seeing any jello through your goggle feed?
No. None at all.
That's odd. I noticed it right away. As soon as I watched the video,
yeah.
I noticed it right away, and I said, "What the? Something ain't right here."
I noticed it too. Like when I posted it at first, and then after I posted it, and then when I was editing it, I'm like, "Dude, this thing sucks. I'm not gonna post this thing, right?" So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'll post it, and then I'll put down, what the hell? Shit, it's shaky footage. I'm not too happy with it, But hey, it's okay. Whatever.
Huh? Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an Action 2. I decided to skip it. I skipped it just because, I like to use post-production stabilization, and there's really nothing you can do with the Action 2 to stabilize it.
Yeah. Because no
it
gyro.
just scared me because it's like all glass.
It is. You have to. It's got to be well protected, especially if you're flying FPV.
I break enough GoPros. I smashed one up pretty good the other day. I think I sent you guys a picture.
Yeah.
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah. That was the really crappy part is that was a Hero 9 that I just got back from being repaired. It was like flight number 2.
Nemo said, "Check your props and make sure everything's tight."
Yeah.
I've never seen jello out of that camera like that before.
But wait, there's another thing too. I'm thinking it's these props maybe. Because I got a bunch of props from Jeff Spooner. Jeff from Spooner FPV. These things,
black Lumineer ones.
Yeah.
Yep, I have those too. I haven't used them yet.
And I put these on there, and I don't know if it's this. I don't know. I mean, these are old props. These are 5 years old. These props.
I don't know, man. I have a hard time believing that props would cause jello.
I don't know.
You would see it in your camera feed when you're flying.
That's why I ask. I mean, the props.
Yeah, I didn't see nothing.
The props could cause
I don't know
jello
what it is.
For sure. 100% they could. But if you weren't seeing them through the feed,
then there's no way that it's causing it on the action.
What's up? What's up, Eric? from me, Joan.
Hey,
Yeah.
what's up, Eric?
Let's see who's in the chats, Matt. Let's welcome everybody. Let's say hello.
Got a few people in here actually. Salmon Rose is here. He's on vacation in a hot tub. We don't want to know what he's wearing. Northside Hawk, what's up, Dominic? Drone Shots, Jody, E-Drone, Eric.
What's up, guys?
Drones, Barkley, what's up? Anthony Smith, what's up, buddy? Black Mamba. Nemo's in here. RC Dude, which is Mikey there. Wayne B. And got a few more people. Hey, Kenny, place it here. What's up, man?
Kenny. Wow, I miss Kenny. I haven't.
Yeah, me too.
Talked to Kenny.
Susan Lee is here. Anybody that I missed, make sure you yell at me. Crypto Man 5000. Big Water UAV. Troy's here.
Look what Nemo said, Matt.
Ken's here.
What do you say? Me. Hey, Halfchrome. What's up, Jack? Jack from Halfchrome is in the house.
Jackie boy.
Good crowd tonight.
Yeah, there's Sam with the commando baby shit.
Anthony, Danish. Nice.
Ay. Danish Stallion. What's up?
Danish, what's up?
If I miss anybody, just holler at me. Or yell at me, or call me an asshole, or do whatever you gotta do. It's okay. I don't mind. I miss people all the time. So, I am pretty fucking stoked for Chicago, bro.
Chicago, yeah. You're going to have a good time, man. You're going to get some good footage in Chicago.
I wish I could come.
So, we might as well speak on it right now since
go ahead.
Stinger's not here yet, and I told you I needed to talk to you.
Yeah.
My flight, Friday morning, I'm going to come in early at like 11 and change. Are you available to come get me?
On Friday morning at 11?
Yeah, or something like that, like 11 or 12, something like that.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Because Troy won't be in town until... Oops. Who's playing YouTube? It's gone now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Troy is not going to be in town till late evening. I don't want to get... Either come in at like 11 or 12 or come in at almost midnight. And I don't want to come in at midnight.
Yeah, you're fine, Matt.
Looks like Anthony's backstage.
Hey, there he is. The man of the hour is
there
here.
He is. We're in trouble, dude.
The man is here.
Yeah, guys, he's here. The man's here himself. Kevin's here. He's in the back room. He's waiting on us. But you guys, if you guys have any questions for Kevin, shoot, go for it. So, all right. So yeah, let's bring Kevin in. Here he is.
Hey,
Kevin, what's up, guys?
Hey,
what's up, brother?
What's happening, man?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Doing better now.
Doing good. Yeah, dude, stoked. Absolutely.
Sorry, dealing with some technical difficulties over here, but I got it all up and running now.
Yeah, don't we all?
Nice.
So what's up, buddy? Everything okay? What's new on the horizon for you, man? What's coming next?
Oh my gosh, what is new on the horizon? Family life. That's what's
family. Yeah.
Staying busy with the family and work and all the things. I still fly. I even did some flying today, but man, it's just I'm in a different gear these days.
Yeah, how old are your kids, Kevin?
So I have my daughter is 15 months, and I have a stepdaughter that is turned 7 today.
Okay, cool.
Beautiful.
Very cool. Yeah. I'm Lee, by the way.
Yeah, that's Lee
What's
from
up,
Adventure VP, Maddie, my two co-hosts. Usually my twin brother is on with us, but he's still working, so he's gonna try to make it in.
Yeah, family life can keep you pretty busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, I got the 15-year-old stepdaughter as well, and that 15 teenage girls are a mess, and then I have a 5-year-old boy who's just insane. He's just wild energy. So,
what's up, Anthony? What's up, everybody? Thanks for the kind words there.
Yeah, you got some fans in the house. How can you not, bro? You got some amazing videos and a lot of your tutorials and just flying in general. It's impressive. I can't help but watch them all, man. I really can't.
Learn a lot from you. We do learn a lot from you, Kevin.
I've been around for a minute. How long have you guys been flying?
Well, I've been flying drones for 2 years, 2.5 years now. And then FPV about a year now.
Yeah, nice. I've been flying camera drones for about 6 years, but I just started FPV about a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
I started a GPS stuff in 2013, got 107 in 2016, and just started flying FPV about the same time Maddie did, about a year and a half ago. And wish I would have started a lot sooner.
Yeah.
A lot sooner.
That's crazy. Yeah, I got into this in like 2014.
Yep. So about the same time I was doing GPS stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when I got into drones. So I moved to Atlanta. I had no furniture, a nasty breakup, starting from scratch, and I was like, man, I want to try out these drones. And it was when ArduPilot was the hotness. This would have been like 2010, 2012, I forget exactly when. And I was like, all right, these are the things I need. I need a desk, like I've got right here. I need a computer. I need a camera. I need a controller. I need tools and soldering iron. I need to learn how to write Arduino, I thought. and I was like, there's no way I can afford all this stuff. And so I did the one thing I knew how to do, which was learn some stuff. And that's when I taught myself how to code for Arduino, and then just like waited on all the rest of the stuff. And around 2000, it was actually 2014, I got into RC planes earlier in the year. And as it got closer to the end of the year, I was like, what are these flight test guys filming these planes with? And I found out about FPV and then found Sharpoo. And I was like, wait a minute, I've built a desk. I have a computer. I have these cameras. I have a radio controller. I have almost everything I need now. And I dove into it at that point in time.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. I wish I would have started a lot sooner. Like I said, when I got into GPS drones, I thought that was everything. And I saw everybody, I followed, all the big names in FPV, not ever flying, but just wanting to dip my toe in forever. And finally I broke down, about a year and a half ago and did it. And I'm like, man, what was I waiting on? This is way more fun. Yeah. I only fly GPS stuff pretty much for business now, or like a really specialized shot. But yeah,
that one video you did, Kevin, was I learned a lot from that video. It was not too long ago about tuning your quad.
That's what I was
the last
say.
Recent one.
The tuning videos helped
so
me
perfect.
Which tuning video that I did?
There was one you did where you flew at line of sight.
Okay, yeah, that one is the one that pisses Bardwell off because he worked on his tuning stuff so hard for so long, and me going out and just being like, this is what I do, bam, got more views and more traction than him. I love Bardwell. Don't get me wrong, we're gonna hang out again soon. To be fair, like back in the day, that was when I made that video. Like you guys have not. That was like 2016. Mm-hmm. You guys weren't around back then, but these things flew like hot garbage back then. You had there was no taking beta flight with stock PIDs and just going and like flying it. I don't even know if that was on beta flight at the time. That might have been clean flight, might have been beta flight. But you had to go and tune it, and you had to optimize it, and that was the process that I would go through on every new build. I would find where I could get it flying as good as possible, and then there was a ton of crap that these things just did shittily that you had to fly around. Like you guys don't know because at first when I first started, if you went all the way to idle, forget air mode, forget the motors even still spinning. The motors would stop. There was a point on the stick that if you went too low, the motors would stop and the thing would fall out of the air. So if you did a split S, you had to just be absolutely precise in lowering your throttle exactly to the point where the motors weren't going to stop and you wouldn't fall out of the air. Then we got the feature to keep the motors from spinning when it was idle. And you still had a point. If you went too low, then the PID controller wasn't active because we didn't have air mode and the thing would just flop around the sky. So there were so many crappy things that we had to fly around. Forget bounce back. There was no doing a sharp flip. You had to make it look like a sharp flip, but slowly bring the stick back to center. It looks like it's sharp, but really you're bam, what? Mm-hmm. And dialing it back so that you didn't have crazy bounce back at the end.
Yeah.
So
all those things make you a better pilot, though.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right. Learning to deal with those handicaps.
Yeah, Jack is right. It's come a long way.
It has.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now I'm doing research on 128K ESCs and do I need that? Do I want that?
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing. You got freaking Express LRS. It's giving us wireless access to configure your flight controllers and.
How you like it, Kev?
Pretty wild.
Express LRS, it's fantastic. I love it.
Absolutely.
I got my Happy model. That is Happy model, isn't it? Yeah, the Happy model module right here. It's out of my radio because I did the liftoff podcast today, and we were playing a bunch of liftoffs. So I took the module out to make the battery and the radio last longer.
Cool. Hey, you tried Trip FPV yet? The simulator Trip FPV?
I have. I downloaded it like the day it was released, and I messed around with it a little bit. Like the graphics are gorgeous, and it's awesome. But I think they got a lot of room for improvement. Some of the stuff with the like vehicle dynamics, like the speeds of the stuff, is just not necessarily tuned properly yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah,
I see a lot of potential in that. Like somebody needed to build a FPV simulator in Unreal Engine. And it's in alpha stage right now, so I'm sure they're going to get it ironed out.
Yeah,
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet. I just downloaded it though, but I haven't set it up. I went out of town, but it looks fun.
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
So you got a nice gaming rig to run it there?
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I have an iMac. So it's mostly, not really great for gaming, but it's great for video editing and things, but it's pretty powerful.
Oh man. Yeah. I'm a Apple guy for sure. And, I mean, this is a Windows PC I'm on right now, but I have to have an Apple a Mac so that I can use Final Cut. I cannot.
That's what I use. I'm a Final Cut guy.
I can't survive in Premiere or DaVinci Resolve or any of that stuff. Like I had, somebody asked me to do something at work, and I was like, "Oh my god, do I have to do this today? Can I take it home and do Final Cut? Otherwise, I'm gonna be googling DaVinci Resolve shit all day long."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, I got into drones because I'm a video guy. I'm a video editor, by trade. So, high quality video and cinematic stuff is really what I wanted to do. And FPV was just another tool for me in that box. And I've always used Final Cut, and that's just what I prefer.
I didn't know that it was going to be that for me. Like when I got into drones, I was an airline pilot, and I thought that I would find a side business, like a side hustle, in drones. And my history, like the oldest hobby I have is photography. That's why I have all these fucking fancy cameras, an A7 IV and nice lenses and everything. Is because like in middle school, my dad had a camera, and I started messing with that, and he was into computers like way early. We had like early Photoshop on my computer at home. It was like the 90s. We hosted bulletin boards and shit. And and so like my idols in skateboarding were Atiba Jefferson and like all of the famous skateboarding photographers, and like that's what I wanted to do. And I actually started out college majoring in photography, and then realized like that's not the way that you do that career. And changed it up. But so I had an extensive background in photography. I had my own darkroom and darkroom equipment after I gave up on it as a college thing. And so when I started applying that to FPV, I had a little bit to learn in terms of like moving image and like camera movement. But I already had like basic understanding of like rule of thirds and, exposure and like all the different aspects of that. And just applied it as I went. It's weird. Like FPV is this huge multifaceted skill set. Like if you want to really be successful in it, you have to like have good technical skills, be a little bit of an electrical engineer, understand a little bit of mechanical so that you can make modifications to your equipment, have like a artistic mind to come up with creative ways to use the tools once you have them all, a little bit of, vision with cameras and camera work, a little bit of software skill to put everything together in the end, and you better fucking have good taste in music.
Yeah, exactly.
No shit.
Oh, that's the number one thing.
That's the one thing about FPV has taught me so many things that I thought I would never know.
Yeah.
Well, I find it interesting the different entry points that people find into the hobby. Like I said, for me, it was purely, film and video related. And some people are like, they're tinkerers. They like to build. And it's just funny to see some of the clashes and things on some of the groups. Like, oh, if you don't do this, then you're not real. If you don't do that, then you're not real. And it's like, everybody comes at this hobby for their own reasons. And that's what makes it so cool to me. I think some people, they love building. They love diving into the software. And for me, I'd rather just get an amazing image. That I want to find the easiest way to get to that image. But that's me, but everybody has their own journey.
Everybody has their own thing.
I am like a pilot's pilot. That's also like,
well, you are a pilot.
Door.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I want to get back to that. Yeah, I want to get back to that.
Yeah, I'm all about flying things, and I've been obsessed with everything that flew since I was like a little kid. In second grade, decided I wanted to be an aerospace engineer to design airplanes, and it's been a roundabout journey. But now I get to work on designing drone things, and it's pretty fucking awesome.
That is awesome. That's really cool.
I want to go back to something real quick. You said you're an airline pilot.
That's right.
So how long you been flying airplanes, and do you still fly?
I do not. I took my first flight lessons when I was in, I forget exactly, second or third grade. My dad took me and got me flying lessons in gliders, and I did that for a little while, but then put it on the shelf because like trying to get an instructor that takes you seriously when you're that young is not easy. And when I was in college, so I had a full ride in college because I have ADD and I got vocational rehabilitation money. And so they were paying for everything. That's why I started out as photography. And then I did political science when I realized that I didn't want to do photography. And political science is even more of a joke than a photography major. But the school I was at also had an aerospace program. That's why I picked it, because they had a journalism, poli-sci, and aerospace. And I knew I wanted to do one of the three. So I was like, well, fuck it. The government's paying for all this. They'll pay for my flight time. I'm going to go get my private pilot's license too. So I did that. And then I was like, all right, well, that was fun. Let me get my instrument rating. And I'm like, well, let me take this weather class. I was like, God, these classes are way more interesting than political science. Screw it. I'm changing.
Yeah.
And went all in on that. And I do describe airline pilot work as being a fancy bus driver. I'll get to that. It's a long story how I ended up on this journey. So when I told you I wanted to be a aerospace engineer in second grade, but in high school I sucked at math, and everybody told me you'll never be an engineer, and I believed them, which was a mistake. Don't believe people when they tell you can't do something. I got to college and I realized that, hey, when we start doing physics and all these engineering courses, I went from the back of the class because we were just dealing with numbers with no context, to the front of the class where I was like, oh wait, these numbers mean something. I'm like, hey, no, this is how you do it, and like figuring out the equations to real problems, but just being able to visualize it. And so then I took like every engineering class I could because it was a free ride without any intent to major. And it came time to graduate. And they're like, well, you don't have a minor. And I was like, they're like, you took all of these. You took electrical engineering and statics and dynamics and computer-aided design. And you're like, you can do engineering technology. And I was like, all right, word, cool. And so I thought I would go back and get my master's in engineering after that, but I started flight instructing, and I was like, you know what? Having your office be the cockpit of a plane is pretty awesome. I think I'm going to do this for a while. So I was a flight instructor for 2 years, and then I was like, I'm just going to do all the cool jobs in aviation. I'm going to be fly seaplanes out of Miami and do firefighting out west and all these awesome things. And I started flying charter around the Bahamas, and I realized, holy crap, this job means I have to work 6 days a week because that's what they can legally work me in the cockpit. And then on the 7th day, I got to come out here and clean this damn plane and update all the publications and everything. And I was working myself to the bone, and I was like, wait a minute, all these dream jobs are not dream jobs.
Right.
And I was trying to get another job, and nobody believed that I was going to stay and not go to the airline because that's what all the kids did. And so they kind of forced my hand to go to the airline. And I realized if I go there, then I get a ton of time off. And so it was really beneficial because it was the fact that I was only working like half the days out of the month and had extra cash that I was able to get into FPV as it was. So, and then it brings me full circle here.
Wow.
So you don't have much interest in flying anymore? I mean, do you still have your license to fly?
I do still have my license. I keep it current. Like every 2 years, I have to do what's called a biennial flight review. It's like 1 hour flight time, 1 hour ground instruction, and I do that. And I do an online course every 2 years to keep my certified flight instructor rating current as well. And other than that, not really. I do want to, at some point, when I have the time and the money, build my own plane in the garage.
That would be cool.
I've always wanted to do that since I was a kid, so I will find the time and the money eventually.
Are you a 107
pilot? Oh yeah.
Are you?
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have a pilot's license, a private pilot, maybe even a recreational pilot.
Yeah, you can add the 61, right?
Yeah, if you have any Part 61 certification, then you literally go to an online thing, look at a PowerPoint presentation, take a little quiz online, and you're done.
Yeah.
So if you're a certified pilot and you want to do your 107, it takes literally nothing. Yes, everything is impossible until it's possible.
Absolutely.
I agree, Lord Wolf. Dude, I just had this conversation on the Liftoff podcast earlier today where I was talking about some of the stuff that has come along that I was known for years ago, that like people didn't know was possible, and I spent months figuring out how to do it and like working on it and finally pull it off and put it on video. People's minds go boom, and then next thing you know, literally everyone is doing it, and you're like, huh.
Yeah.
It's just like with skateboarding, like first kid to hit a handrail was like, oh my God. And now like if you can't hit a handrail, are you really a skater?
Right. Yeah.
Get your own airlines, Kevin.
Dude, I'm down. Let's go. Who wants to buy me some planes?
Oh, man. Do you do a lot of 107 work these days?
I mean, not in the way that people usually think of 107. Most people think of 107 in terms of getting hired to get a shot, because that's what everybody's using it for. But I do like consulting work with drones. So I work with manufacturers and test their products and tell them what they need to fix. And I work with, like fire departments and police departments and go and teach them how to use drones. I work with, just all sorts of different groups like that. And so I do a lot of test flying of equipment, and I do a lot of education and just general consulting work with drones.
That's good stuff.
It is good stuff, man.
I love how technical you can get with things. And I was going to ask, when it comes to like technicalities in FPV, when it comes to whether it's tuning the quad or anything with the flight controllers and stuff, how did you learn how to do all that? Did you just kind of do it on your own, or did you kind of do it like we did and watch, like freaking Joshua Bardwell?
Well, I mean, if you, there was no Joshua Bardwell when I was getting into it. And like, so it's a little column A, a little column B. So I've got a wide breadth of knowledge, like I talked about with all the different engineering capacities. Then a crap ton of experience of flying things. Like I've got over 10,000 hours in airplanes. And then on top of that, as I mentioned before, I'm also ADD. And like everybody thinks of ADD as like, oh, you can't pay attention to anything. Well, there's two sides to that coin.
Yeah,
like, you can't pay attention to anything. And there's also like hyper focus.
Yeah.
Like when I got into this, I literally, the first thing I put a flight controller on was a wing, and it was a fork. I don't like, you know what base flight is? Like,
heard of it.
There was multi-Wii, which was people taking away Wii nunchucks and putting it in planes and connecting it to stuff and writing code for it so that it would fly the plane. And then there was base flight, which was a fork of that. And then there was clean flight, and then beta flight. That was what most people use now. Mm-hmm. With base flight, that was designed for multi-rotors, but there was this guy, Patrick K, I want to say it was, who forked base flight and did fixed wing. He didn't even really fork it. It wasn't a full fork, but he was doing fixed wing stuff on base flight. And I read while I was I did have Wi-Fi on the plane. And sitting there in the cockpit, you got hours to kill. Sorry, FAA. Maybe I hope the statute of limitations is up on that. But I literally read through like 300 pages of comments on RC groups, the forum back then, of how to get this shit working, because everybody was running into all sorts of issues with it because it was super janky code. And like, that's like the hyper focus side of things. And so I will literally go and read release notes. And whenever Bardwell or UAV Tech and all these guys put out their tuning guide for the next version of Betaflight, like if you know where to look, like the Betaflight GitHub has a tuning guide that comes out with every iteration, every time they go from 4.2 to 4.3, where they break down and they're like, hey, this is what you need to know. These are the important things that we've changed. This is like, if you need to set up filters, these are some generally good settings for a really dirty, shitty quad. These are some really good settings for a clean quad. And they'll hold your hand and walk you through it if you take the time to properly Google it and go and find those resources. And Bardwell, even now, like when he makes these videos, he'll link to the tuning guide for Betaflight. And you know, the community is a lot better now with documentation in these open source projects. Back in the day, it was just like sorting through forums, being a Google ninja, being like ESC desync site rcgroups.com solution, so that you can like figure out not only find somebody that has the problem, talking about it in the right context on the right site, and has found a solution. Yeah.
So I think I had my first desync the other day. Maybe you can verify this, Kevin. So I have a Shindrone squirt that I use for like all my indoor professional one-shot jobs, and it's been a workhorse for like a year. And I took it on a job the other day, and I plugged in the battery. And as soon as I plugged in the battery, the front left motor spun to full speed. No,
okay, that is not a desync.
Okay, what is that? Well, so
that is just that is all kinds of fucked. So
yeah,
a desync is typically when you are going high power setting, and there's motor timing. As basically a way a brushless motor works, there's 3 phases and 14 poles, 12 poles, whatever it is, and one of those phases, you know, the 3 wires that go to your motor, one will be positive, one will be ground, and one will be a sense. If you were to spin the motor with no electricity connected, you would see electrical impulses on the wires at phases. And so it can tell when it passes, and it needs to change which wire it's applying positive to, which wire it's applying ground to, and which wire it's sensing from. And if that timing gets messed up because the advance isn't set right, or the demag compensation is needed, or just the motor spinning too fast for the ESC to like process it, then it'll accidentally put an input at the wrong time, which causes the motor to stop.
So
what you're talking about is you applied power, the ESC had voltage, and it had either it had a signal from the flight controller that told it to go fast, or the little processor chip that's on it's got its own STM32 chip on there, just shit the bed and was like, screw it.
So it was interesting. Like I plugged it, unplugged it several times, took the props off and tested it. And the reason I even mentioned the word desync is because when I plugged it in several of the times, the Betaflight startup sound on the ESC would go over and over again in rotation around the motors. Just and so, you know, that was my first experience with something like that. And I actually ended up reflashing the firmware on the flight controller. It had Emu Flight on it, and I reflashed it, and it didn't do anything. I ended up going to Betaflight 4.3, and as soon as I put 4.3 on it, everything was fine. I opened it up in BL Heli before I put 4.3 on it, and I only saw 2 motors in BL Heli. After I put 4.3, I could see all 4. It was just a weird issue.
That is really weird, and like having the repeated
Betaflight boot sound.
It's not having the repeated boot sound. That's not a Betaflight boot sound. That's actually a BL Heli tones.
Okay.
That is even if you don't have a flight controller connected to your ESC and you connect power to it and it's got power and a motor, it'll go da da da. Those first 3 tones indicate, hey, I have voltage.
Okay.
And I have the processor on board has booted up. The last tones is da da indicates that I have a signal that I understand, whether that's D shot, PWM, one shot, all of these different things. if it's going da 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 da, it's because the processor on the ESC is rebooting, either because you don't have stable voltage or because it's getting a command to reboot from the flight controller. Like if you reset, so it may have been a flight controller thing. It seems kind of odd, but yeah. That is a very odd issue. I'm glad it's resolved, but I would still handle that with sketch.
Yeah, it was real sketch. Like I said, I was in like $1 million house doing a fly through, and as soon as I plugged it in, just went to the sky. And I mean, it didn't go anywhere. I had my hand on it, but that was my first real sketchy issue I've ever had with a motor just taking off when I plugged it in, ever.
Huh. So Salmon Rose says, why do I not get the doot doot unless the receiver is connected to the TX? I'm assuming that you're talking about, that's weird. You should get it regardless. I don't know what flight control software you're running. I know with Betaflight, it will, even if it doesn't have a valid receiver signal, it will send a low command to the motors, which would give you the doot doot. It's possible that Emu Flight or KISS or Flight One or any of these that are out there is not sending any command to the ESCs unless it has a valid receiver input, which that makes sense to me also from a safety standpoint. But I'm just not familiar with any flight control software that does it. I haven't used KISS in years, nor Flight One, and I've never tried Emu Flight.
I was just about to mention that Gardo just said they had the same issue on Emu Flight once, and honestly, I put Emu Flight on that squirt because Chris Teal from Drone Co. That's like his pure recommendation for the secret sauce is what he calls it. So I've been running, kind of his recommendations on that for the last year, but I just switched over to 4.3 and it's running great. I've got about 10 packs in it so far, no problem. So.
Yeah, I know people that swear by Emu Flight, but I've just oh man, there's so many things to learn, and I haven't heard a compelling technical reason to use Emu Flight other than just people that don't know anything technical saying, "Oh, but it's awesome."
yeah. I think I'm gonna be switching my last quad over. I have one more squirt I have on Emu Flight. I'm gonna move it over, I guess.
That's what Bot runs Emu on all his quads.
Yeah, he does. Bot loves Emu.
Yeah,
it's funny that he mentions that we talk about these ESC sounds like car mechanics, because I literally I was sitting on like an interview board to hire engineer/technical person for doing drone work, and I got to ask a handful of questions, and one of the questions that I asked was, you have an ESC or you have somebody that's complaining that the ESC goes da-da-da-da-da, and they want that sound silenced. Is there a way to do it, and how would you go about doing it? And just because I wanted to know, do they identify that as a BL Heli thing? Do they try to say it's PX4 or Betaflight, or what do they think it is, and where do they go to try to turn it off? Like, how well do they understand these systems? And both of the guys got it wrong.
Oh, Anthony!
I like Anthony's response here.
Actually, I wouldn't say both got it wrong, but one got it way off. So
that's funny though.
Like, had a good idea.
Oh
yeah.
man,
that's actually my.
I sang a secret song to see if they would know it.
That's my notification sound on my phone when I get an email at Adventure FPV.
I want to learn how to switch it. I want to learn how to switch the tones. I don't know how to do that. That's good.
It's got to be a BL Heli 32 ESC.
Yeah.
And you get the BL Heli 32 ESC configurator, and they've got a handful of tones that you can choose from. There's also another piece of software that you can find on the BL Heli 32 GitHub that will allow you to write your own tones.
Yeah,
so
you can bring in a MIDI.
Yeah, anything that you want could be ESC tones.
That's cool.
Not like full fidelity, but 32 bits pretty solid.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm not that damn technical. Mike, are you that damn technical? Because I'm not that damn technical.
Yeah, I do it on my quads.
I'd be pulling hair out I don't even have trying to get that to work right. But that's just me. No, that's when you go watch a StingerSwarm video and figure out what it is you're getting.
There you go.
Right?
There you go. Absolutely.
Nailed it. So I noticed, I saw your last video with that, what is that, a wing, or is it a VTOL or something that you did?
Oh, yeah. I was doing some flying wing stuff. It was a Adam RC Dolphin that I had rigged up and was messing around with.
How fun are those to fly? I've never flown one.
Oh man, it's a blast. Like I said, I started out doing like fixed wing RC stuff, and then started putting FPV gear on fixed wing, and then putting flight controllers on fixed wing with FPV, and then got into multi rotors. And never looked back. So I am not saying that the fixed wing is more fun than multi rotors. I would never go there because I think that the FPV quads are by far the most fun I've had in RC. But yeah, it's good for like a change of pace for sure.
Yeah, I definitely want to try fixed wing.
I do. I want to give it a shot. I'd love to put a digital camera on a VTOL or some sort of fixed wing.
I live in like this community with a lake here, and I am itching to build out a fixed wing float plane and just cruise the lake and go out with my buddy that's got a boat and just like chill, do some like wake surfing and like fly some FPV float plane, and then fly some mini quads, and then
By the way, your video that you did about a month ago on actual rates was freaking on point, because my Nazgul Evoke runs on actual rates, and I didn't understand it like I do on like Betaflight rates.
Well, you can still switch back.
Like you can switch back.
Okay.
Yeah, I kept it on actual rates, but the numbers are different in Betaflight, and I've only been flying for a year and a half, and I'm not that technical with it.
Yeah, they totally are, and I settled like. I messed around with my rates a lot until I made my last rate video, and then I tweaked them a little bit afterwards. And I've had the same rates for probably 2 years, or more than 2 years, 2 or 3. And actual rates are a thing now. And the way that it works is so much more logical. Like I teach a lot of people how to fly FPV. And if I give them Betaflight rates and then they want to mess with it later, they're like, what does this number do? I'm like, well, it kind of like a little bit of this one does. It's all very abstract, and it doesn't really make sense. Like you can change it and look at the graph and decide what you like, but it's not great. Whereas with actual rates, I can explain. I'm like, hey, this one, max degrees per second. This one is like if you had a linear line, what it would be like at the center. And then this one just kind of moves where the elbow is. And it's like perfectly logical. They can be like, hey, I want it to be more tame at the center, like dead center. I want it to be tame further out. Or they could be like, I want to flip faster at the ends. And those are 3 individual things that you can control. And it just makes sense.
I remember watching one of your videos a couple years ago, actually, and you had some pretty fast rates. Do you still run some pretty fast rates? They were like 1200 or something.
Oh, well,
no. Okay.
Yeah. So when I first got into FPV, I thought like I was hanging out with Steel and Schizo, and I thought that I needed to be able to like do these super snappy flips and rolls. And so I originally set my rates to be the fastest at which I could visually determine when the end of the flip or roll should be and stop based visually. And I found that to be around 1300 degrees per second. And it's just too high.
Yeah.
You can barely do it, but you don't need that. And so I brought it down to 1,000, which is pretty common for freestyle guys, even like flippy floppy guys. And now I've brought it even lower. I run like 900 because that's just plenty for me.
Yeah, we had Zorro on a couple months ago, and he says he still runs at around 1,200. Because he's like, man, he's like, because if I can, his logic was that if he can control it at that high of a speed, then he can control anything, you know. That was his logic. It was funny.
I mean, that makes sense.
I'm more of a stick banger than anything, so I drop my rates because if I have them too fast, I'll be flipping way too quick.
Yeah, mine are slow. Mine are way slow.
Yeah, I talk to people and they're like, man, you have to move the stick so far to like get actuation, because I keep it really tame near center stick. And I'm like, that's the whole point. Like if you fly and you only move like 25% of the stick travel ever, then like what are you gaining? You've given up all this resolution of the control. And so for the most part, like I think it's only maybe like the last 20% of stick travel that if I cross that threshold, I'm going full flip or roll.
Sure.
A lot of people, they'll do it to where they're just using the inside 20%. Anything beyond that, I'm doing a flip or a roll. And I that's just not me.
Yeah, it's very subjective, right? I mean, it's hard to even.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah, it's very subjective.
Thanks, Jim.
Somebody in the chat asked, what is 1,000 degrees per second compared to stock Betaflight rates? And I believe stock Betaflight is around 900.
No, stock Betaflight is 667 degrees per second. Okay, that was actually on 4.2. On 4.3, I think it's 670. But yeah. Okay. Oh my God, I'm such a dork.
Hey, no, got to know this stuff, man.
Yeah.
People count on you a lot of times, and yeah.
Totally.
That's crazy.
So do you do any commissioned like work at all, like 107 stuff, or not really?
Commercial filming gigs, not really. I stay pretty busy, basically like 9 to 5 schedule anymore, and I'm open to the possibility.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
I keep toying around with it, and like talking to my bosses and being like, well, I could be going and making this. My buddy Steele is getting paid this to do movies. Right. But at the end of the day, I enjoy what I do. And I'm like a technical guy, and I'm glad that I don't have to compete for commercial drone work. Like the FPV sector of commercial drone work right now is very much like the wedding photography segment was in like 2000, 2010. Just everybody can now afford it. Everybody's picking it up. It's not as easy as photography is to pick up. There's still a lot more to it, but it's a lot more accessible than it was, 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you tell us what you did for a living besides flying? What do you do from 9 to 5? What's your normal day job?
That's it. Consulting and training and, doing drone work.
It's a hell of a job to have.
Someone's asking about Schizo. I did see a video not too long ago where he came out and did a recent one.
Yes, I did.
Mike says Schizo. It's before his time.
I know, that is sad to me. But yeah, so I'm like an old man, dude.
I mean, I know who he is. Yeah. I saw that video and I'm like, man, that's the first video he put out in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So I just, for full context, like when I got into FPV, there were 2 guys in Atlanta that were starting to make waves in the FPV community, and I hooked up with them, and that was Steele and Schizo. And we just became great friends and traveled the world together and made all sorts of awesome content. And so Schizo, he just doesn't really fly anymore. He's not got a passion for it. He's not, he stays busy with work, and he's got all of that going on, and he's not working with drones. He's back into the software development side of things. And when I took him out and got him flying, he, made he acted like he was going to get into it again, but at the end of the day, he's just got other stuff on his plate. I think it's a weird thing, because like me, Steele, and Schizo, 100% all of us are the type of dude that goes through life and is like, oh my God, this thing, I'm going to focus everything on this. Mm-hmm. And then like, oh no, this thing, everything right here. And
I think a lot of us are like that.
Yeah, I think if you are going to be find any success in FPV, you have to eat, breathe, sleep, everything that for some period of time. You don't have to do it forever, but you have to go through a phase where that's all you do. Otherwise, you're never going to like break through. And all 3 of us have agreed that if we had not found the success in FPV that we did, we would have just dropped this hobby and moved on. It was not only because of the success, it was because of the friends. So the fact that we wanted to hang out with these guys and go do this thing, and because of the like financial success or whatever that we found in it, that kept us coming back. Like I still love flying FPV, but it is long since a thing that I just like have to do all day, every day. Like I do get a little bit like that here and there. Like when a new version of Express LRS comes out, I'm like, oh, what is this? I gotta figure this out. I gotta know all the ins and outs.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Absolutely.
But
speaking of new, I want to discuss something real quick. What is your thoughts and opinions on walk snail?
Walk snail is an interesting thing. So I've like been following it pretty closely. They're I think it's a good thing. It's not a straight clone of DJI like some people have tried to say that it is. What's happening is originally everybody thought that DJI was this magic sauce, and now people are starting to understand what it is that they were doing and what tools they were using, that maybe they had early access to some of those tools, and other companies are playing catch up. And I don't think that Walk Snail is going to be I'm not naming any names here, but Walk Snail is not going to be the last company that you see release a product like this.
Sure.
There are other products that are right on the horizon. Some have even been announced loosely, that are coming, that are based on some of the same types of technology. Now, whether or not, I think that there is a lot of shadiness going on with like the Walk Snail and Flywoo goggles, and whether or not Fat Shark own that, and like who's using who and who's using what. Like this industry is just kind of shitty and screws itself over in a number of ways. But yeah, all of that aside, I wish them the best, and I hope they iron out. I'm not following it that closely. I know that there were some issues with firmware and stuff, and I think that they're going to get there, as long as they just keep working at it. There's no reason that they couldn't.
I saw an old image of Caddx, like a logo. Have you seen the old ones with the snail? What's the relationship there? If you type in Caddx
snail logo, yeah.
Well, if you type in Caddx and snail, you look at an old Caddx logo, and it's a snail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the people that did the trademark on Walk Snail and Caddx are like the same people. Okay. So like it straight up is some of the same parent company, is my understanding.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not 100%. Don't quote me on that.
I don't think anybody's 100%. So yeah. I mean,
right.
Yeah, I don't think anybody.
I'm repeating things I've heard online, which may or may not be true.
Yeah.
So
sure. No, I think it's good though. Either way, competition's great. Competition's a good thing in the industry.
Absolutely,
no matter what it is. So
it's always great. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people could have handled it better. Drew, like that whole, you don't get to know, like, dude. Sometimes I got nothing against Drew, but sometimes he just doesn't know when not to say things.
Yeah, no, I think it's good though. Like I said, whether it's a rip-off, a partnership, something new, it doesn't matter. It's some sort of competition.
Knowing
so that's
DJI
good.
though, like Lord Wolf said, that's what DJI does. They'll see something that comes out and they'll make it better, and then they just try and more to stay on top. Like the new rumor of a new air unit coming with the V3 goggles. I mean, nobody knows for sure, although I'm sure some people actually have it. But it's just I don't know. Can DJI be knocked off the top of the pedestal when it comes to digital? I don't know.
Can DJI be knocked off the drone pedestal that they're on? Like, there is not a solid competitor.
Nope.
It's not like straight up ripping off their technology. Yep. That's a better question.
And that's with both. That's with both FPV and camera drones.
Oh yeah, and they're eating everybody's lunch, not just camera drones, like gimbal makers, camera equipment, the new audio equipment, wireless audio. That new DJI wireless audio system is like destroying Rode.
I love that DJI audio system. I got one.
Yeah, I want it. I had it pre-ordered and then they delayed it, and I like canceled my order because I needed money for something. But I will probably get it at some point.
Yeah, you should. I like it.
Like they just are stepping into industry after industry and disrupting it. There's really not any other company like them.
I've seen a DJI patent for a DSLR.
That wouldn't surprise me. I love my Sonys, but I can imagine that there's like room
for improvement
to compete.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure. I mean, just like the 4K. I don't know. Is it actually the Ronin, like the handheld camera that they have?
Yeah.
I mean, that thing's groundbreaking. I mean, I follow a lot of cinematography channels. I always have.
Same.
And everybody who has it is like, this is like the next step. Like everybody take a note. This is, the way things are going.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I'm just thinking of now. Somebody in this like with the right expertise, should do open source camera gear. Like all of the sensors are out there and available. You need
that would be
if
cool.
If you wrote it for the right processor, it could, and then partnered up with just somebody to make the first box. And then you're like, all right, here it is. We're driving these sensors. All you need is this processor, and do like the Express LRS did. Like you could, I think,
piece it together. Yeah,
that's the only thing that I could see that could beat DJI in the DSLR market.
Something open source like that.
Yeah, I love Sony. Don't get me wrong. My Sony cameras, I'm just like, so nice.
I've always been a Lumix guy, but yeah, Sony's tempted me a few times.
Yeah, Lumix are good too.
They are good. I had the, oh man, I'm gonna forget. It was like one of the top end point and shoots forever ago that I used to do some street photography with, like G700 or something like that.
Yeah, they got a bunch.
Yeah,
but yeah, other than their terrible autofocus capabilities, I like Panasonic.
Yeah, they need to. You don't have phase detect.
Yeah, they use contrast.
Oh my god, that's such garbage.
It's terrible. It's horrible. but I can always hide under that like umbrella of like, well, you shouldn't really be using autofocus anyway if you're.
Yeah, look at this.
But you should. I know.
Eyeball. Oh, look at my eyeball. Oh my god, hang on. You want to see this? Check this out. Bam. Oh, back to me.
My Lumix.
That's awesome. That's awesome right there. If it could do that all the time, it's awesome.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm a little jealous.
You guys and your cameras. I don't even own one.
Maddie,
I don't even own
you guys and your cameras.
I own a fucking GoPro.
Yeah. Well, we were talking a little bit before you came on too. Well, were we on your show, Maddie, about the naked black magic?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were. Somebody Bannister Post was flying.
Yeah, I'm tempted to rip mine apart. So, Kevin, I'm thinking about doing something with my first Sentinel lifter here in the next few months. I don't know which direction to go or what I want to do, but yeah, I'm looking at doing that as my next phase here. You have any advice?
Oh man, I've not messed with Sentinel lifters. I have been tempted to put my A7 IV on a drone. I don't know how much you know about it, but they've got it has its own gyro built in, and Sony offers a piece of software called Catalyst Browse or Catalyst Prepare that allows you to do stabilization. And so now all of my handheld shots I run through Catalyst Prepare before I put them in Final Cut, and it's almost as good as having a gimbal on me all the time, and I can just walk around and not think about it anymore. It's fantastic. And I've messed. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about the build.
No, it's
I am intrigued with gyro flow and all of that stabilization that's available now that you can use something like a Blackmagic.
Well, Blackmagic's
like literally anything.
Magic's latest firmware also now provides gyro data.
Oh,
so you can push that through on GyroFlow or whatever.
Is GyroFlow supporting the gyro data?
That I don't know yet. That I don't know yet. But I just saw something on a Blackmagic forum I'm in that said, hey, the latest 6K and 4K are going to get gyro data attached in the metadata now. So
I'm sure it's coming. I talked to the GyroFlow devs a little bit, and I know that some of the cameras that I use are going to be added at some point. I love the Action 2, and it's not the best camera by any means, but it is super light and it is stupid durable. And so that's why I keep flying it. And the only thing that keeps me from using GyroFlow more often is the workflow. Like with Catalyst Prepare, I throw it in, I have my settings, I click process, and I let it go for the night. With GyroFlow, I've got to and a DJI Action 2, I've got to load the clip, grab the black box data, make sure I have the right ones, line it up,
that's a
check
mess.
everything. Yeah. It's too much work. Like if I was doing it for commercial work, maybe, but if I was going to do commercial work, I would not use an Action 2, period.
Right.
Like on an FPV drone, at best, it's going to be a Hero 10.
Right.
I mean, at least a Hero 10.
At least, yeah. And see, that's where I'm at. I do a lot of commercial work, but I do mom and pop commercial work.
Yeah.
So, I can get away with a Hero 10 currently. But I'm looking
the Hero 10 looks fantastic.
It does look fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I pull off what I do with it pretty well, but I'd like to have something so I can kind of start inching into something a little above
I'll
that.
tell you a dirty secret right now is that most of the guys who have gear in their arsenal, whether we're talking about Nerk, Steel, Jet, all of these guys, they have the fancy cameras and drones to fly it, but 9 times out of 10 when they're on set, they've gotten hired because of the camera gear they have. They end up using the GoPro.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, now if you're on a Michael Bay set, no, that goes out the window.
Yeah, and I'm not looking. I'm not looking and expecting to do anything like that. Honestly, I'm just maybe looking for something to step up some of these mom and pop gigs because I do a lot of indoor flying too, and I would like something on a Cinewhoop, like a Cinelift or Cinewhoop that I can do where I don't have to do as much, messing with the noise in low light and things like that. So there would be a time for something like that where it'd be better to have a Blackmagic pocket cinema camera running a low aperture indoors, and I don't have to mess with denoising as much, and you have better dynamic range. So that's why I'm looking for it. Not to go on a Michael Bay set, but just for my own, workflow, I suppose.
Yeah, totally.
Uncertain jobs.
Got a question for you there, Sting.
Yeah, I see that. What most common GoPro settings? Well, I'm currently running the Action 2, but I will say this. On a GoPro, I run the flat color profile because I'm going to color grade it later. I turn the sharpness at least to medium. Do not leave it on high. It's too sharp to begin with. You can go medium or low. I find that if I use medium, I don't have to add sharpening after the fact. So the flat color profile, sharpening to medium, and I'm lazy. If you wanted to do this right, then you would do the 180-degree rule, and you'd be setting it with the right shutter speed and everything. But like, I don't do all of that. I don't run ND filters. I get in down and dirty and get it done because for the most part, what I'm making content for is you guys on YouTube. And there are some people out there that are like nitpicky camera nerds like me, but most people are not. No. And even the people that are nitpicky camera nerds don't even notice when I'm not doing the rules.
A lot of them are paying more attention to the flying than they are the actual camera themselves. Right?
Yeah. Like nobody's pausing it to see how much motion blur is in each frame.
Yeah.
I actually put out a GoPro cinematic video because people ask me all the time, and it's like, honestly, it's the same on every camera I use. Like, if you know how to use a camera, my Blackmagic is the same setting as my GoPro. Like, you're going to be using the same rules, the same principles on every camera you use to get a good image, no matter what camera it is. So, and that's actually part of what I talked about is breaking that 180 rule. I try to use it if I can, because I do personally use ND filters. But if the ND is not, I'm not going to take off an ND 32 to put on a 16 because I'm lazy. And so what I'll do, I'll adjust the shutter speed to make it the exposure correct, and then I'm going to call it a wrap. I'm done.
ND 32 right here for my I do have a variable ND for it too, but I usually just run the really harsh one just so that I can use the wide open aperture for shots out in the bright sun. I will try to stick to the 180 rule on my vlog camera if I can, but I also use this guy, the Sigma 20 millimeter 1.4 art, and this guy when I'm using a wide angle lens for you can't use a filter on it. It's not got a screw in. It has this huge bulbous lens on it. So
this is probably my favorite Sigma, the 18 to 35.
No, see, you got to be a prime guy.
Well,
what do you got? 2.8? Get out of here. I'm at 1.4.
Okay, but hold on. I got the speed booster. It brings me down to 1.
No, that is not the same.
Bro, you guys are speaking straight up Spanish to me. I shoot all my shit in auto.
Yeah, no, this is straight manual with a custom white balance run for my light that I got here.
Crazy.
I need to upgrade my studio. I have this whole room that I have had many a discussion with my wife and kept to myself, even though it's been a challenge. I'm planning to make some upgrades here soon.
Studio, cool.
Awesome.
The 180 rule. What is the 180 rule?
Basically, for whatever your frames per second is. So if you're shooting at
double the frame rate,
30 frames per second, double that number and do that as the fraction of a second.
That's what they call it.
30 frames per second, you should be shooting at 1/60th of a second. And what it does is it makes enough motion blur to make everything look natural. If you shoot like 30 frames per second at 1/2000th of a second, it's just gonna be like it's gonna feel stuttery, kind of like the soap operas look like.
Yeah.
But I've also heard the argument, and I kind of agree with people, depending on the quality of the footage you're uploading. I've seen that some people upload with the 180 rule. Let's say they're uploading in 1080p. YouTube compresses the crap out of your video. And sometimes when you have so much motion blur that it just mushes everything. So
tell me about it.
Sometimes it's almost better to have more frames, sharper frames.
Dude, people fall victim to like the YouTube compression so bad. I used to know all the numbers off the top of my head, and I would argue this with people once 4K came out on YouTube. Like the bit rate that YouTube allows you to have if you're in 1080p is so low compared to 4K, like it's a joke. And the way that video codecs work is there's basically like a keyframe where they send all of the data. Everything that is in the image is sent. And then the next however many frames beyond that is just anything that changes. So that my background stays the same. I move my hand. The only data that gets sent is this hand movement so that they can compress all the data. Now, that works great when you're talking about a camera that's locked down on a tripod or maybe like handheld, so the background's just moving a little bit by frame. When you have a camera that is flying at 60 fucking miles an hour down the street and every frame, every single pixel is different, that codec goes out the window.
Right.
And they've based your bit rate on assuming that, and at 30 frames per second, you don't get more bit rate, you don't get more data per second if you go from 30 frames per second to 60 frames per second. So people are like, I want to shoot 1080p 60 frames per second. Well, you didn't get any more data to put in, and you've doubled the amount of information that you're putting in, and you're not getting, the codec is not helping you whatsoever. And so people are like, I'm doing 1080p and my grass looks like 4 pixels. What am I doing wrong? And I'm like, well, that's what you're doing wrong. You're going to get no detail. And that's why I upload my videos at 4K 30, because I get the bump to go from 1080p to 4K. And I'm not like hitting myself by cutting, like doubling the amount of data that I'm doing. So I don't get all of this pixelation. If you watch my videos, like you can see every blade of grass that comes by.
Yeah.
So you've probably noticed it when you upload to YouTube too. There's a little bit of a color shift. Like if you upload something very vibrant, sometimes it comes across a little bit more dull once it's uploaded. Has anybody else noticed that on YouTube at all? No,
I don't get that. What output settings are you using in Final Cut?
Well, I've used quite a few, but I'm actually using compressor now. I downloaded compressor, and I just recently started uploading it like the maximum bit rate that I can, exporting, so that way I let YouTube kind of shrink it down from the maximum.
Yeah, and there's what I use in compressor. There is a profile specific for YouTube. It's like something up to 4K. And it will, based off of the resolution that you're using, it will give you the optimum settings. Because if you give YouTube more than it can handle and it's going to downgrade it, it's going to interpret all your footage. If you give it a file format that it agrees with and is in the bit rate that it agrees with and the audio is what it agrees with, then what you put out on your computer is what it puts out.
Well, that's what I needed to know. That's interesting. So there is something actually built into compressor, you're saying, Kevin, that's already set up for YouTube? All right, I'll look at that. Because honestly, I've never used compressor until about 3 months ago, and finally I bit the bullet and I'm like, fine, I'll buy compressor. And I did, and I haven't explored it that much. I just went in and made my own custom preset, but that's good to know. That makes sense what you're saying.
I did the same thing. I fought with that for a while. I finally got compressor. I made my own custom thing, and then at some point I found that such and such up to 4K. Like if you, I don't remember it because like I did it once and now I've got it built into Final Cut. Like you can import compressor settings into Final Cut, so you don't have to like export Final Cut and then run it.
Sure.
And then that's just what I export out.
Well, that's what I'm going to do as soon as we get off this stream. I'm going to go in there and look at that.
If
YouTube.
You can't find it for some reasons, shoot me a message and I'll try and help you out.
All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I wish I had something more specific than YouTube up to 4K.
Yeah. No, I know
that's literally what it calls it.
Actually, if we want real quick, I can share my screen if we want to do that.
Do it.
All right, let me share a compressor real quick. Here we go.
Yeah. Anybody in the chat, I threw Stinger's YouTube channel in there. If you're not subbed to him, then you live under a rock. But here,
so right here, there's YouTube and Facebook up to 4K. This guy.
Bam. That's it.
All right. Well, that was super simple.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I didn't need to share my screen. Cool.
Yeah, I fought it for a while, and I tried that, and I'm like, this isn't as good as it could be. And then I started doing my own custom thing again, and I was like, wait, it was better before. And I went back to that, and I've not messed with it since.
Well, because the one in Final Cut's whatever, and so I finally upgraded. And I sound like we did the same thing. I thought, well, shit, I'll just max this thing out. I'll do my own custom, and it looks okay. It doesn't look bad. Don't get me wrong. The stuff I've been doing recently, but if there's something that's optimal, that was the point I was getting to. I wish there was something that was just like, hey, if you do this, it's going to look the best on YouTube. So it's good to know.
Yeah. In my experience, maybe there's some other magic sauce out there, but I honestly can't tell a difference from the exported file on my computer now and then properly full speed 4K on YouTube.
Good. All right.
Yep.
Very
Sounds
cool.
Good. Dude, thanks for all that info, Kevin.
Yeah, just hijacking your drone thing to talk about video
what
editing
it's all about.
and exporting.
It's about. It's always about learning. It's always about learning.
That's usually what I do, and these guys are like nerd. So I'm glad to have somebody else on there.
Yeah, it's always about learning. Yeah.
Cool.
And then I always come to you too, right, Lee? I ask for advice, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna ask Kevin and let you know what he says.
Yeah, right. So if I forget what Kevin said. And if I can't get a hold of Kevin, I'm just getting a hold of you.
All right, that's fair.
Mike, well, once you find out from Lee, you dumb that shit down for me.
It's gonna be like a really shitty game of telephone. It's gonna be the worst video export ever.
That's how it usually goes.
Be like really dumbed down for me, like really, really dumbed down.
So Kevin, what are you doing August 13th?
I don't even know what day of the week is that.
It's a Saturday.
Oh wait, that's like the day after my wife and kids get back. They're traveling to Poland right now.
Oh shit, he ain't gonna be able to make it.
Yeah, you're not gonna make it.
Yeah, you went last year, right? To Poland.
Well, you'll come next year. You'll be next year.
Yeah, what's happening to the 13th?
Well, here I'm gonna pop it up on the screen for everybody that doesn't know. We are teaming up with Jack from Halfchrome. August 13th and 14th at the on Gulf Road at Ned Brown Meadows, Bussy Woods, Rolling Meadows, Illinois. It's a Midwest Drone Meetup 2022. We're doing giveaways. We got Pilot Institute. Actually, I got to update this this thing here. We added another sponsor, Beta FPV, to the mix. So I didn't change that. Damn me, I forgot to change it. So yeah, it'd be fun. Dave from Fly High sending some stuff and all that's good stuff. So, but hey, it'll be next year, Kev. You can come next year.
Yeah, I wish I could join you.
You too, Lee.
I know. I wish I could join you.
And Lee, thanks for the logo, by the way.
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem.
So
yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, bro. I'm stoked for that. I'm super stoked to go. Yep. I've never been to Chicago, so it's a first for me.
Oh, you'll like it. You'll like it. Get some good footage. Absolutely. Have some fun with friends. Enjoy barbecuing, flying, giveaways, all that stuff. It'll be a good time. So yeah, so that should do it, guys. We went over an hour. Would like to thank Kevin for popping in. Kevin, StingerSwarm, thank you so much, my man.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That was a lot of fun.
Oh,
yeah. It was.
Nice chatting with you.
Thanks
nice chatting with you guys. Absolutely.
Yeah. Kevin, you take care, buddy. Don't forget, if I have any questions, I'm gonna hit you up. So
feel free, man. I'm always hopping on the DMs.
Cool.
Awesome. And guys, go check out StingerSwarm's channel. I have the link in the description. So you all take care, and you all have a wonderful night. Peace.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.